Hello everyone, we're back, and yesterday was pretty much consumed doing business again between Verizon and Penske and creating an anti-money laundering policy. But anyways, we'll get more into that later. Today I am moving on to the last room. I'm going to tear this wall out behind me and get that insulated and sheetrocked, new window put in, all that good stuff. So first I'm going to set up the room. I'm going to plastic over the doorways to control the dust and get on with this. So here we go, hanging a little plastic, and then I'm going to roll this carpet out on the floor because it helps protect the floor when I get that plaster off the wall. This wall actually had sheetrock over the plaster, so first I had to remove that sheetrock. And here we go. We're going to pound that plaster down with a hammer and use the other tool to just pull it right off. Went pretty quick. All right, I'm feeling pretty good about the progress here. I've got all the rock off the wall and the trim, of course. And so it's really nice outside. I'm feeling like I should probably get out there. There's this branch right there that came down in the storm. I think I'm going to go cut that up with the chainsaw. Alright, so yesterday got all this rock off the wall and I got it all boxed up, which is good. Cleaned up a bit. Today I'm going to take these slats down. I kind of spent the morning doing some business stuff and now we're getting back to the project. And yesterday I was able to clean up that branch that fell down. Well, it was a really big branch and it was pretty difficult to take down, but I got it and cleaned it all up. So we're moving on now. Today we're going to take down the slats. All right, so here we go. I'm starting here in the middle because I can get in really easy, and then I'm moving on to the left side of the room here. These slats are really kind of buried in this wall between the slats on the other wall and the stucco on the other wall and the sheetrock on the other wall. I've got about 3/4 of an inch of material, and so the slats are kind of really buried in there. So I'm kind of wiggling the slats around, moving them back and forth to try and get that final nail out. I got most of the nails out this way. A few of them, the slats broke, and so I had to go back and remove those nails with pliers, which really wasn't all that bad. I do want to make sure and get all the nails out of the way for when I replace the slats. So here I am on the other side of the room, and this time the slats go behind the wall, and so I wanted last time I cut the slats, I used a jigsaw, which worked well, but this time I wanted the cut closer to the wall, and so I could get insulation in here. I don't have a whole lot of room to work in this bay to get the insulation in, and so this time I chose to use the Sawzall, and it worked really pretty well to get the slats cut pretty close to the wall. And so then that way, once I get to the insulation, I can work that in to that little tiny space. You see there, it's only a few inches. All right, here we are again, and yesterday I was able to get all those slats off the wall and got it all cleaned up all the way down to the bottom, all the cobwebs out, spider webs, little beetles. So now I'm going to do what I can to seal this up. I've got some areas like this up here where the tarp paper is not covering all the way, and so I'm going to seal that kind of stuff up. And then I'm going to go ahead and insulate this wall. Hopefully I can get all that done today. Alright, so I went to the BMV, the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, but it's closed on Monday. So I am going to have to put that off till tomorrow. So today I'm going to do a little yard work out here on the nice beautiful day. And then I'm going to move on to insulating this wall. Once this wall is insulated, then I can sheetrock it, and I'm going to get done with this phase of the project here. So if this is your first time seeing this, I am using this staple-free insulation. Again, this is the highest R value I can get for a 2x4 wall. And it goes in pretty easily.
you just kind of shove it in and it stays there. I am cutting around this double 2x4 for the window. I've got to cut around outlets and things like that. But for the most part, this is probably one of the easiest parts of the job. As you see, you just kind of shove it in and then give it a nice pat down and fluff it out, and it just fills the space nicely. I've really kind of almost enjoyed working with this installation. Now we're going to move on to putting the slats back on the wall. So again, working on this side of the room, I have to get the slats back in there, that 3/4 of an inch. And so I am having to use the rubber mallet and hammer a few of them in, clear some rock out. And I'm also using the brad nailer to put these on the wall, which really does make this so much faster.
Okay, we're a little tight on our viewing angle for the camera, but it's time to replace this toilet tank lever. Apparently that's the proper name for it. So here's the old one. Let me get to it here. You can see where it broke there. The plastic broke off. And so there's a little clip here I'm going to remove. Fortunately, you probably can't see that. So here's the upper arm that broke. And in order to do this, it's just got a plastic nut. I've got an adjustable wrench here that I can fit to it. And then we're just going to unthread the nut. Shouldn't take too long here. Once I get the wrench adjusted. This old wrench is a little stiff. There we go. Just like that. Here's the nut and washer, and there's the original handle. I'm going to take our new handle. I'm going to thread it through. Place it in the hole like so. Our new washer. Put it on there. Thread it on. Reverse threads on this one, which is fine. Of course, that means I gotta run my wrench in the reverse direction. Silly me. Tight but not too tight, it is just nylon. And then, this is the bar here. I'm just going to hook this chain back on the bar. This toilet looks like it's a second hook. Let's see if that worked. Now we can give it a test. Just like that. We have successfully repaired the toilet. And that is great because everything else today has been a disaster, so it's good to get something right. Hello everyone. Well, the GoPro died while I was doing this, but you got to see the start of putting these slats on the wall. I decided this time, since I had a bunch of extra slats, to just go ahead and butt them up all against each other, and that'll make a nice solid wall for us. Last time I did this, occasionally the sheetrock screws would miss the slats and then they wouldn't seat very well. So I think this will keep that from happening, and it may or may not insulate the wall a little better for noise. Since this is going to be our bedroom, that's not a bad idea. So now that that's done, I moved the sheetrock in for this room, but I'm actually going to change gears here a little, and I am going to go work on the van. I'm going to go install the plywood and the E-track. Hello everyone. So it is Monday here and we're back at it. So we did a little shopping over the weekend and planted some plants, so let's go check those out. Before we go check these out, I thought I'd show you our starts. They are doing really great. They're coming right along. Probably going to plant them next weekend in the ground. The natural gas company came and tore up the sidewalk and part of the yard, so we thought it'd be a good opportunity to use this part of the yard. We wanted to use it anyways, and we went ahead and planted. Let's see, we got a bunch of
different plants there. I'll have to ask Rosalie what they all are, but she's the plant expert. Our fruit trees are coming along nicely. We got the first apple here, and then the peach tree, and then the second apple. They are coming along nicely.
Hello everyone, so it's Wednesday now and the grass in this country grows like I can't believe. We gotta mow it every week this time of year. I've been at it now. We waited about a week and a half and I have a little bit more to go right back here. I'm on my 6th battery charge. So it is really thick. You can see the neighbor's grass over there, how thick it is. They haven't mowed it in a while. This stuff grows like crazy. So once that battery's charged, I'll be back to mowing. But for now, I am going to get prepped to replace this here window. This is the last main window that I have to replace, which is awesome, and I'm excited to get that done and over with. I'm going to bring all the supplies inside. I do need to go and buy a piece of wood for this seal plate still, so I doubt I'm going to get started on this project today, but I am going to get all prepped up so that tomorrow I can knock this out and have the final big window replaced. Yay! Alright, we're all set up. I'm ready to replace this window here. I've got the replacement here. Got all the supplies I need. Let's get to work. You guessed it. We're going to start by removing the window.
Well, this window came out really easy. Easier than some of the other ones, I'd say. The only trick here is don't forget the window latch. There we go. And it just comes right out. And if you remember the last one, I struggled getting the top part down like this, but not this time. It really came through quite easy. And then there's these ropes with counterweights. Well, this one only had one counterweight remaining. And to my surprise, the rope was still good. So I just cut that with a mat knife, tossed it to the side, and here we are with the window gone.
All right, time to rip the frame out.
And I'll tell you, this frame was quite rotten. I'm not exactly sure why this frame was so rotten, but it did make for a fairly easy removal. Just kind of broke right out like that. Had a few trim pieces to remove, but really went pretty quick.
Well, let's see. That's not going to cut it. Time to get that out of here.
And that is why we were replacing these window seals with pressure treated wood so they won't rot out like this in the future. And this one was a real stubborn one to get out, I'll tell you that for sure. Look at that.
This is the first one that's nailed down.
Yeah, all the rest of the window seals were just pressed in, and this one was actually nailed.
Alright, I got these nails off.
So again, I'm using the Sawzall now with a metal blade to just cut any of the nails that are sticking out. And so that when I go replace the window, they're no longer in my way, and I am using screws when I replace the window.
Alright, I got into that and it got messy, but we got her done. Here's the new window. So I went ahead and put in a new seal plate here. You see the pressure treated wood. I put in rip cut 2x4s to basically the right width with a little bit of room to breathe. And it's a tight fit on top. This window's not exactly the same as the others, but tight fit. Trim's a little overhanging on the outside, but I think we can forgive that. Painted the back side white so it kind of blends in, and there it is. All done for now. Next I'll come back and I'll trim this spray foam, and then I'll backfill with more rip cut 2x4s around the edges. But that is for another day.
They're getting after it again. Town loves its fireworks.